Welcome back. I'm Savannah and I'm so excited you're here because today we're doing a mid-year book tag. I know we're a little bit past the midway point, but since I'm new to YouTube, I thought this was a great way for me to share the kinds of books that I like to read, especially those that I've read this year and some of my favorites. I got these questions from Katie Wittrick's video and I'll tag hers down below. But without further ado, let's get into the questions. The first question is the best book that you have read so far in 2025, and without a doubt, I have to say that's Remarkably Bright Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. This book is heartwarming and touching and so sweet, and if you know anything about this book, you know that Marcellus, our giant Pacific octopus, is a really big part in this book. I have a soft spot for anything ocean related, anything marine animal related, and so this book hit every mark for me and it was an absolute 5-star. I cried at the end. So this one is definitely the best book that I have read so far in 2025. Next question is best sequel you've read so far in 2025, and I've actually read 2 fantasy duologies that I really love. The first one was the Heartless Hunter Rebel Witch duology, or the Crimson Moth duology, and I would say Rebel Witch was definitely a favorite of mine, but almost tied with that one is the Divine Rivals duology, and the sequel is Ruthless Vows. I would say best sequel that I've read so far in 2025 is tied between Rebel Witch and Ruthless Vows. But this book is the second book in the Letters of Enchantment duology by Rebecca Ross, and this was such a great sequel to Divine Rivals. The story was so gripping and action-packed and so detailed in the fantasy world. It was detailed in such a way that was still really digestible to read. And I thought that this sequel really tied everything up really nicely. It answered a lot of questions and was really easy to read. I definitely really enjoyed this one. So I think I'll have to give best sequel to Ruthless Vows by Rebecca Ross. Next question is new releases that you haven't read yet, but you still want to. So the 2 new releases that I currently own are First Time Caller by B.K. Borison and One Golden Summer by Carly Fortune. I would still really love to read both of these. Luckily, One Golden Summer is on my August TBR, so I'll hopefully get to read that one this month, and hopefully I'll get to read First Time Caller pretty soon after. Most anticipated release for the second half of the year, I would have to say, is probably Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. It actually goes along with this duology, the Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows duology. Wild Reverence is kind of a prequel to this duology. It takes place in the same world, but it talks a lot about those gods. I think that's my most anticipated release for the second half of the year. So I'm really excited when that one finally comes out. And I think that release date is in October as of now. For biggest surprise of 2025, I have to give it to Circe by Madeline Miller. I know this is a book that had been circulating around Book Talk and BookTube for a while, but this is one that I've owned for a little while and never really thought to pick up until I saw that it was available as an audiobook from my library. And I started listening to it and was immediately drawn into the story. If you don't know, this is a story about Circe, who is a goddess from Greek mythology. She's the one that interacts with Medea and Odysseus and Daedalus. She interacts with a lot of famous figures in Greek mythology, so if you've read the Iliad or the Odyssey, you might be familiar with her. I've always been interested in Greek mythology, and reading a book like this really helped me reconnect with that interest. I mean, I didn't think that I would dislike this book, but I was very surprised by how much I really did enjoy this book. I was pleasantly surprised by this book, and I would recommend it to anyone who hasn't read it yet. The next question is favorite new author, either debut or new to you, and this is a really tough question for me because some authors that I've been really enjoying, I've only read 1 book of, so I'm not sure if I can call them my favorite author yet. But I will probably say Rebecca Ross. She wrote the Divine Rivals duology, and I really loved her writing in those. And like I said, I'm really excited for her new release coming out in the later half of this year. So I might say Rebecca Ross. I'm also really interested in reading a previous duology of hers with A River Enchanted, and I'm interested to see if I still love her writing in that one as well. So I guess we'll just say Rebecca Ross for this question. Next question is newest fictional crush, and even though I'm not the type of person who gets crushes on fictional characters, I still wouldn't even say this is a crush. I finally started Fourth Wing this year, actually this most recent month. I finished Fourth Wing, I'm halfway through Iron Flame, and I have to say, I think I have a soft spot for Xaden Ryerson. So I think he's my answer to this question. Okay, next question is a book that made you cry, and I have a couple of books where I did cry, one of them being Fourth Wing at the very end. I did shed a tear. And of course, I did cry at the end of Remarkably Bright Creatures. It was just so touching, so heartwarming. I loved it. But I also cried a little bit when I read In 5 Years by Rebecca Searle. I don't particularly like this book that much, but there was a part of this book that really did get me, and I did shed a tear. Next question is a book that made you happy, and I don't think any other book fits this prompt quite as well as The House in the Cerulean Sea by T.J. Klune. This book is so wholesome, so sweet, so heartwarming. This book is about Linus Baker, a caseworker who goes to an orphanage for magical children. He meets all the children, he meets their caretaker, and it's just such a sweet story, and it just made me so happy. Next question is most beautiful book that you've bought this year or received, and I did buy this one. This is The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payton Smith. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, and it has these beautiful end pages with these roses, and the naked hardcover has this beautiful white and gold foiling. I have read this book, I really adored it, and I really love the way that this book looks, so I would definitely have to give this one the most beautiful book that I've gotten this year, and potentially the most beautiful book on my shelf right now. Next question are what books that you want to read by the end of the year, and I'm always trying to read as much of my physical TBR as I possibly can. This is kind of a random assortment, but these are just some examples of books that I would love to read by the end of the year. Happy Place by Emily Henry, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies by Heather Fawcett, The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien, Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins, and I would love to start A Corn of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. I would also love to get caught up on Fourth Wing or the Empyrean series. I'm halfway through Iron Flame right now, so that would mean I would need to read Onyx Storm. But yeah, other than those, I mean, I would love to just keep reading as many of my books as I possibly can, all of my physical TBR, and I would love to just continue reading more fantasy on my Kindle because I don't own as much fantasy. So those are just some ideas. So that's the end of the original tag, but Katie added some extra questions and I thought I'd answer those ones too. First, what books do you want to reread this year? And I'm not super big on rereading a lot of books, especially since there are so many books that I want to read for the first time. So I'm probably gonna say none. Hopefully that's a good answer. My favorite author so far this year, so it doesn't have to be a new author to me, just my favorite author. I have to say I'm gonna have to give it to Ali Hazelwood. I love so many of her books. There's a few that I haven't read yet that I'm excited to get to. I love so many of her books, so I'm probably gonna have to give her that one. I finally finished the Chestnut Springs series by Elsie Silver, so she's up there as well. But I'm excited to keep reading more and more authors so that I can keep adding to the list of favorite authors. Books you've been putting off is the next question, and this is a tough one. I think the easiest answer to those questions are any of my classics. I've got Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen here. I have Jane Eyre. I have The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I have The Hunger Games and The Hobbit, which are both books that I really want to read, but I'm putting them off because I'm a little intimidated by them. But I had been putting off Fourth Wing for a really long time and I ended up loving it, so I think that that's just one example to show me that even the books you're putting off, you could absolutely love and be so excited to get to read them. Next question is a book that you've enjoyed with mixed reviews. This is a bit of a tough question because I'm not sure what books really have mixed reviews, but I think I'll go with Love on the Brain by Ali Hazelwood. I know that this isn't a favorite Ali Hazelwood book out of all the ones that she's published, but I really enjoyed this one, so I'm not sure if this counts as mixed reviews. We could also potentially say Fourth Wing because I know after it reached its height of popularity, then the reviews got a little bit mixed, but I still really enjoyed it. We could also potentially say Heartless Hunter and Rebel Witch. I'm not sure if those reviews are mixed though, because for the most part I saw positive reviews, but I enjoyed all of those. Next question is series you want to finish by the end of the year, and I think I already mentioned it multiple times, but I would love to read Onyx Storm and finish Iron Flame to be caught up in the Empyrean series. I also think it would be really fun to finish the Murderbot Diaries series by Martha Wells. I've been reading those on my Kindle, and that would be a series that I could finish. Next question is 5-star predictions for the rest of the year, and honestly, I would have to say any of the books that I held up for a previous question. Happy Place by Emily Henry, Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies, The Hobbit, Hunger Games, and ACOTAR, the beginning of the ACOTAR series. Any of these I feel like could be 5 stars for me. I've also been getting really into fantasy books, but pretty much on my Kindle, so any of those have really high odds of being 5 stars for me because I've been really loving those. But let's put good energy out into the atmosphere that all of our reads for all the rest of 2025 are gonna be 5 stars. Next question, do you think you're gonna reach your reading goal and will you change it? So my current reading goal is 35 books this year. My original reading goal at the beginning of the year was 25 and I reached that a couple of months ago, so I needed to change it to something higher. I changed it to 35. I do think I will reach it. And I do actually think I could probably make it even higher, maybe even to 50, but we'll have to see how I go from here on out. But I do think I might change it, but I definitely think I'm gonna hit it. Last question, are any new goals for the rest of the year? And I would have to say, starting this YouTube channel, a big goal of mine is to be consistent and to post lots of videos that you all will enjoy. So I think a big goal of mine will just be creating a space where we can all chat about books and journaling and potentially Sims or any other hobbies that we might enjoy. And I'm excited to give that a try now. So those are all the questions from Katie's video for the mid-year book tag. I hope you all enjoyed this video. Please let me know what you thought of it. Hopefully we have some similarities in the books that we enjoy, and I'm excited to continue to talk about books with you all. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you again soon. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!